Hey guys, my name is Aaron and I'm a third year medical student from the University of Adelaide. Today I'm going to make a video about my personal experience in getting into my medical degree, which used to be called the Bachelor of Medicine with Bachelor of Surgery, but is now called the Bachelor of Medical Studies with Doctor of Medicine. So I'm going to cover what subjects I did in Year 12, as well as my experience of the UCAT and the interview process. So let's get started. So in Year 12 I did physics, chemistry, English lit, math methods and specialist maths. And if we look at the prerequisite subjects in the 2022 Medicine Admissions Guide from the Adelaide University website, it says here that prerequisites are either biology, chemistry or mathematical methods. So in my opinion, if you had to only pick one prerequisite from that list, I reckon chemistry would be the way to go, since it translates really well into the physiology and the medications that you encounter throughout the cases in years 1 and 2, which is what I've done so far. So biology is pretty good, but every lecturer I've had for biology in university has basically told me that Year 12 biology is a little bit of a waste of time. And that's their words, by the way. But I'm kind of inclined to agree with them, because in the first couple of weeks of Year 1 in the course, you basically cover the entire year of biology in one PowerPoint document, which is 120 slides long. So going to math methods, although it likely translates well in interpreting data from studies that you read, it's probably my most underutilized subject in medical school, so I haven't really used any of the knowledge that I gained in Year 12 from this subject, which is like mostly calculus and statistics. So if I had to pick one, I'd definitely choose chemistry. So going down to assumed knowledge here, it says high proficiency in written and spoken English. So this is definitely a must. So you'll be presenting cases, giving oral presentations and taking patient histories throughout the entire degree, as well as in your professional career. So I'd argue that so far, being a good speaker is more important than being a good writer, as most assignments I've received over the past 2 years have been reflections that don't require academic writing. So that's not to say that written English is not important, it's just saying that from day one you'll be having to speak English to a high degree of proficiency. Something that I'm still working out for myself. So the admissions guide for 2022 states that ATAR needs to be at least 90 or above in order to be eligible for consideration. So even though this is a slightly different degree to what I'm currently in, my cohort's median ATAR was around 99.3, and the lowest ATAR to be accepted was 92. And it should also be noted that the ATAR for this degree doesn't take into account any bonus points that you get with Year 12 through doing English or maths. So overall, the ATAR accounts for 40% of what the university considers when they offer you a place in the degree. So moving on to the second stage of the process, which is the UCAT. I reckon this is the most difficult barrier that you'll face throughout the whole process of trying to get into medicine in University of Adelaide. So for those of you who don't know, UCAT stands for University Clinical Aptitude Test, and although it only accounts for 20% of what the university considers for your application, your performance in this test determines whether or not you receive an interview. So although it's worth less overall, it's very important. It's probably the most important part, because if you don't do well on this, you won't get to the interview and you have to repeat the whole process all over again for next year. So just an outline of the test. So the test is 2 hours long and it has 5 components. So verbal reasoning, quantitative reasoning, decision making, abstract reasoning and situational judgment. So the test is marked on a scale, of 1200 to 3600. So personally, I scored in the 2800s, which translates to a little bit above average, but not the most competitive score you can get, obviously. But luckily for me, I'm a rural student, and Adelaide University offers 40 places per year for rural students specifically. So that's something to take into account when you do the UCAT. You can put your name down under the rural section, and it makes it a little bit easier to get an interview. So talking about the interview, so the interview is a really big part of what they consider when they give you an offer for the degree. It accounts for the remaining 40%. And going to the document, so the interview comprises a series of scenarios and questions and provides an opportunity for you to demonstrate your personal qualities, including some motivation and self-awareness, critical thinking, problem solving, attention to detail, and so on. So for motivation and self-awareness, basically what that's going to be is they'll ask you, why do you want to be a doctor? So that's a classic question that basically every university asks. So personally, my answer to this question was that I enjoyed science and I like the idea of being a lifelong learner, being that medical knowledge is growing exponentially and doctors are responsible for keeping themselves up to date. A classic answer to this question is that, so why do you want to be a doctor? I want to be a doctor because I enjoy helping people. So this is a very common answer, and it's a good answer, but lots of people give it, so you won't really stand out that much for giving this answer. And it's very likely that you'll be given a follow-up question, such as, oh, so you like helping people, why not be a nurse or other medical professional instead? So if you give this answer, just make sure that you think about the potential follow-up questions that the interviewer could ask. So critical thinking and problem solving. So for my interview, they gave me a scenario about being on the school council as the school principal, and there'd just been a McDonald's built across the road. So the interviewers asked me, they said, the parents are complaining, what do you think they're complaining about? So what's the main issues? And as a principal, what solutions to these issues we come up with? So basically talk for 1 to 2 minutes about your ideas. So that's the critical thinking side of things. So attention to detail and professional behaviour. So simply put, this just means being well presented, so wearing neat clothing, and don't swear during the interview, basically. So next one, interpersonal and communication skills. So what this is saying is that the interviewers want you to be fluent in your communication. They don't want you to and ah too many times. I mean, a few times is fine, but umming and ahhing too much can be a little bit off-putting. So it's good to just have little breaks of silence and not say anything, rather than fill silences with I'm not too sure, So aptitude for group learning and teamwork. So what they asked me for is an example of me working in a team and how working in a team helped us accomplish a task. I can't quite remember what specific example I gave. This was like 2 years ago. But it should be pretty easy to think about an instance where you've worked as a team. And compatibility, understanding of the degree, and an applicable health professional. Yuck. I stuffed that up. But anyway, all this means is make sure that you read through the course outline on the Adelaide University website. Know a little bit about the city of Adelaide, know about a little bit of history about the university, and know some information about how the course is delivered. So my course is delivered through case-based learning, or CBL, so which is small groups of people, probably 8 to 10 people, and we cover a case each week across 4 sessions. So it says down here that Adelaide does not endorse any commercially available preparation courses. In saying that, I did an interview course through this company called MedEntry, and they had tailored courses for basically every medical school across Australia. But personally, I did the one for Adelaide University, and I believe that, yeah, it was a really good preparation material for the interview, because I have past students come back and basically tell them what sort of questions were asked for their interview. So I recommend that if you want to have more practice. So to finish the video, yeah, I got my offer from Adelaide University whilst I was on a plane ride home from Europe in early 2020. And it was actually really exciting. So I was really hoping, I actually applied for dentistry first, but then got medicine as my second preference instead, which was really nice. And yeah, so I was traveling home on the plane. I just finished reading an article about some mysterious virus in Wuhan, China. I'm not really too sure what happens with that. But anyway, thank you for listening to my video. I hope it was good for you to listen to. And it'd be fantastic if you give me a thumbs up on the video and potentially subscribe to the channel. Otherwise, see you guys around.